Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Another video with Mr. Wael Abdurrahman. Kindly, before we start, like, subscribe, share, comment, and turn on notifications. Let's start. اوكي ان شاء الله النهارده هنكمل مع بعض ديسمبر 2020 Literacy Test 2 الامتحان اللي هو المحذوف من على الموقع الرسمي لل EST وعشان نستفيد منه كلنا. اوكي احنا كنا عملنا passage 1. Today ان شاء الله we will start from passage 2. اوكي بيقول ايه؟ The following passage is taken from the everyday life of Abraham Lincoln by blah blah blah. The biography recounts the life of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Okay, this passage focuses on his early years before his presidency. فطلعنا هنا بمعلومات مهمة جدا. عرفنا ان هي biography. قلنا biography اللي هي السيرة الذاتية. Okay, written by someone else. Okay, لو حد كتب قصة حياته بسميها autobiography. This is the life story بتاعت مين؟ The 16th President of the United States اللي هو Abraham Lincoln. Okay, طيب وبنركز على ال early years before his presidency قبل ما يبقى رئيس. Okay, so while engaged in the duties of Offutt's store, Lincoln began the study of English grammar. Okay, فعرفنا ان هو كان شغال في store اسمه Offutt's store and he was studying English grammar. كان بيدرس ال English grammar. There was not a textbook to be obtained in the neighborhood. ما كانش فيه books كتير في neighborhood. But hearing there was a copy of Kirkham's grammar in the possession of a person 7 or 8 miles distant, he walked to his house and succeeded in borrowing it. فإحنا هنا بيدي what is he doing يعني عشان يقرأ. there was no ما كانش في books كتير في neighborhood فما بيسمع ان في book لكيركهام ده اسم book للجرامر فكان بيعمل ايه؟ كان walk 7 or 8 miles عشان يجيب الايه الbook to borrow it. Okay, L.M. Green. مين L.M. Green? A lawyer of Petersburg. ده non-essential. A positive عليه. In Menard country. ده المكان اللي فيه. Says that every time he visited New Salem at this time طبعا ده المكان اللي كان فيه Lincoln. So every time he visited New Salem at this time, Lincoln took him out upon a hill and asked him to explain some point in Kirkham that had given him trouble. So what is he saying? That this person, this Mr. Green, whenever he visited New Salem اللي عايش فيها لينكولن فكان لينكولن بياخده ويروحوا عشان يسألوا about the points he didn't understand from the book. كان بيشرح له الحتت اللي مش فاهمها لينكولن. After having mastered the book, he remarked to a friend that if that was what they called a science, he thought he could subdue another. So he can subdue يعني he can يعني يقدر إن هو to defeat another book. يقدر إن هو he can read another book. فهنا subdue بمعنى he can يخضع كتاب تاني أو إن هو يعني defeat أو إن هو to understand another book. Mr. Green says that Lincoln's talk at this time showed that he was beginning to think of a great life and great destiny. تاني مستر جرين. يبقى مستر جرين ده السورس بتاعنا اللي احنا عارفين منه الكاركتر بتاع لينكولن. فبيقول ان ايه؟ ان Lincoln's talk at this time showed that he was beginning to think of a great life. Lincoln بيفكر ان هو he could have a great life and his destiny would be great. Okay, Lincoln said to him on one occasion, Lincoln said to Mr. Green on one occasion that all his family seemed to have good sense, but somehow none had ever become distinguished. So he's telling Mr. Green that the members of Lincoln's family, they have a good sense. They are somehow intelligent, but none of his family, ولا واحد فيهم كان distinguished, يعني كان مميز. He thought perhaps he might become so. So Lincoln thinks he can be distinguished. He can be someone who's a famous person. He had talked بعدين في non-essential هنا. He had talked with على طول men who had the reputation of being great men, but he could not see that they differed much from others. فبيقول إن لينكولن talked with people with reputation يعني عندهم سمعة كويسة، ناس مشهورين يعني. But he said and these people are not different from the common people يعني الناس دي they are reputed, they are known, but they are not so different from the ordinary people. During this year he was also engaged with debating clubs. كلمة debating like discussion اللي هي الرأي والرأي الآخر يعني. I know this is my opinion فواحد بيقول لي لا this is wrong فلا أنا ليا رأي تاني. This is a debate discussion. فكان بيشترك في ال discussion clubs. Often walking 6 or 7 miles to attend them. One of these clubs held its meeting at an old storehouse in New Salem. And the first speech young Lincoln ever made was made there. طبعا held هنا خد بالك hold ده past من hold. You can hold a glass ممكن تمسك glass ولكن when you معنى التاني ال held يقيم meeting. You can held your birthday party. So one of these clubs held its meeting يعني عملت الميتينجز بتاعتها. خدوا بالكم الفوكاب. At an old storehouse in New Salem. متفقنا in a new vocabulary please write it down. اكتب a new vocabulary how to put it in a sentence. We use it in your everyday language. Okay, and the first speech young Lincoln made was أول speech عملها Lincoln was in that meeting. He used to call the exercising practice polemics like debates. هو كان بيسمي ده practicing polemics يعني انت هناك practice الديبيت. كان بيروح هناك practice الديبيت. لينكولن كان شاطر جدا في السبيتش ومتحدث لبق فكان practice نفسه بقى في الايه في الديبيت دي. As these clubs were composed principally of men of no education whatever. Some of their polemics are remembered as the most laughable of farces. Farces like comedy. يعني he's saying هو بيوصف polemics بيوصف debates يعني these كانت معمولة من ناس they are not educated ناس مش متعلمين فكان بيقول ان debates بتاعتهم كانت farce like comedy حاجة تضحك يعني. Lincoln's favorite newspaper at this time was the Louisville Journal. He received it regularly by mail and paid for it during a number of years when he had not money enough to dress decently. So he is someone who likes to read the newspaper. So he had no money to dress, to buy clothes, but he spent his money to buy the newspaper regularly. فكان عنده القراية أهم من إنه يلبس كويس. He liked its politics. It's the newspaper. He liked its politics and was particularly delighted with its wit and humor, of which he had the keenest appreciation. So he liked what's written, he liked politics, he liked its humor, and he appreciated it so much. Okay? At this era like يعني في الفترة دي في التايم ده Lincoln was as famous for his skill in athletic sports as he was for his love of books. فكان skillful. هو مش بس كان بيحب البوكس لا ده كمان كان athletic كان راجل رياضي. Okay. Mr. Offutt بعدين في an essential who had a strong regard for him according to Mr. Arnold called an essential often declared that his clerk mean his clerk اللي هو Lincoln or salesman knew more than any man in the United States and that he could outturn, whip or throw any man in the country. So that's an evidence that Lincoln was physically strong. فهو بيقول ان هي can outrun يعني can defeat or whip أو defeat or throw any man in the country. يهزم أي حد في المكان في الكاونتي. county اللي هي المكان اللي هم عايشين فيه. These boasts came to the ears. طبعا كلمة boast يعني ايه statement expressing pride اللي هو التفاخر الكلام ده اللي هو بيقول انه he's strong وانه he can outturn or whip or throw anyone فدي تعتبر boast. انت الstatement اللي express pride اسمها boast. These boasts يعني الكلام اللي هو فيه تفاخر ده came to the ears of the Clary Grove Boys. وبعدين عمل عليها a positive. مين هم ال Clary Grove Boys? A set of rude, roistering, good-natured fellas. مجموعة من الشباب الرود roistering like rude again هم ناس rude و good-natured fellas who lived in and around Clary's Grove. السيتلمنت بعدين عمل عليها non essential تاني عمل عليها positive. مين هي؟ كانوا عايشين في كليريز جروف، ده اسم المكان اللي عايشين فيه، فبيعرفنا مين هي كليريز جروف وعمل عليها non essential. السيتلمنت اوكي near New Salem، هي settlement like a place near New Salem، مكان جنب نيو سالم. Their leader was Jack Armstrong. مين جاك أرمسترونج؟ عمل عليها positive تاني extra information. مين هو جاك أرمسترونج؟ a great square built fellow strong as an ox، حد قوي جدا like an ox who was believed by his followers to be able to whip any man on the Sangamon River. يعني الfellows بتوعه they believe that he can defeat anyone. He can defeat anyone living in this place. Okay, in Sangamon River. Okay, the issue was thus made between Lincoln and Armstrong as to which was the better man. في بقى who's better, Armstrong ولا Lincoln؟ في هنا competition بينهم. And although Lincoln tried to avoid such contest، هو كان بيحاول يعني to avoid this يعني confrontation المواجهة دي، nothing but an actual trial of strength would satisfy their partisans. Partisans like supporters. they have to make an actual trial. لازم يحاولوا يضربوا بعض ويشوف مين الأقوى، هو ده اللي هيساتسفاي supporters بتاع كل واحد فيهم. They met and wrestled for some time without any decided advantage on either side. Finally, Armstrong resorted to some foul play, which roused Lincoln's indignation, like anger, غضب. اللي حصل ان ارمسترونج عمل فاول بلاي، عمل لعب مش نظيف، عمل حاجه مش كويسه، عمل حاجه غلط، وده roused يعني ايه؟ طلع evoked okay Lincoln's indignation، غضب، the anger of Lincoln. Okay, putting forth his whole strength he seized the great bully. مين الجريت bully؟ البولي ده اللي هو ارمسترونج by the neck and holding him at the arm's length shook him like a boy. مسكه and shook him، طلع بقى كل السترينث بتاعه لينكولن. The Clary Grove boys were ready to pitch on behalf of their champion, and as they were the greater part of the looker on اللي هو الواتشرز، هم كانوا الأغلبية في الناس اللي بيتفرجوا، إيه اللي حصل؟ A general onslaught like attack. That's an attack upon Lincoln seems imminent يعني must happen، يعني it looks like ان هم كانوا هيهجموا عليه. Okay, they are going to attack him, that is certain. ايه اللي هيحصل؟ Lincoln backed up against Offutt's store and calmly awaited the attack. He was waiting for the attack, but his coolness and courage made such an impression upon Armstrong that he stepped forward, grasped Lincoln's hands and shook it heartily, saying, "Boys, Abraham Lincoln is the best fellow that ever broke into this settlement. He shall be one of us." So what happened here? بيقول لك his coolness and courage غيرت الامبريشن بتاع البولي اللي هو أرمسترونج، ففجأة دخل و shake hands with him and he told his fellows Abraham Lincoln is the best. He's better than me. He's the best fellow. He's the strongest fellow here and he will be one of us. Okay? Okay. يلا بينا نروح على questions. Okay, question number 11. Line 19 and 14 till 14. Imply. Okay, كلمة imply خد بالك يعني ايه not stated directly، يعني ما اتقالتش directly. Imply لمحت. Which of the following about Lincoln's character من 19 ل 14. Okay, طب نقرا كده الانسرز. He was impatient with the tedious components of grammar. Tedious like boring. So he was impatient with the tedious components of grammar، يعني هو ما كانش عنده صبر بالجرامر الممل. He was ignorant to the ethics of making requests. طبعا ethics اللي هي المورالز، أخلاق. He was ignorant يعني كان جاهل، كانش يعرف. The ethics of making a request يعني هو كان جاهل بأخلاق إن أنت إزاي تقدم طلب. making a request لازم تبقى مهذب وأنت بتعمله. لا, he was ignorant. He was eager to learn and make effort. He was eager يعني هو كان عنده enthusiastic أوي، متحمس جدا to learn and make effort. He was demanding when it came to material he didn't comprehend. Okay, demanding يعني ايه demanding؟ لما اقول لك he is a demanding person. A demanding person يعني he needs a lot of attention. هي كلمة negative على فكرة. He needs someone who needs a lot of attention and is not easily pleased. يعني ايه؟ يعني دايما افتكر كده in a demanding child. طفل لحوح. يعني ايه؟ لا انا عايز اكل، انا عايز اكل، انا عايز اكل. تجيب له اكل، لا لسه، طب انا عايز العب، انا عايز العب. يعني مفيش حاجة بترضيه. Okay? That's a demanding. So he was demanding when it came to material. He didn't comprehend. He didn't understand. He was demanding. كان لحوح و not easily satisfied. طيب الكلام ده في 9 ل 14. طب تعالى كده نشوف ل 9 ل 14 قال ايه. احنا عشان قرينا الباسج طبعا in details فوي don't need ان احنا to read before. If you didn't read the passage in details, please go back and read from the beginning. اوكي، فممكن نقرا قبلها بحاجه بسيطه كده مثلا من 4 but hearing that there was a copy of Kirkham's grammar in the possession of a person 7 or 8 mile distance, he walked to his house and succeeded in borrowing it. L.M. Green, a lawyer of Petersburg in blah 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 Maynard country, says that every time he visited New Salem at this period, Lincoln took him upon a hill and asked him to explain some of the point Kirkham that he had given him trouble. طب نفهم من هنا ايه بقى شخصيته؟ انه يعني ما كانش بيفهم حاجات، كان بيروح للراجل ده وكان he walks upon a hill، كان بيروح الهيل وكان بيسأله to explain to him الحاجات اللي هو مش فاهمها. طيب ده نطلع من هنا ايه؟ ان هو كان tedious with the components of grammar. اكيد طبعا it's a no. It's not mentioned ان هو كان عنده impatient. بالعكس يعني هو كان شخصية عندها patience. Okay, he was ignorant of the ethics of making requests. that not mentioned في البارت ده خالص. Okay, he was eager to learn. Yes, he was eager to learn. بدليل ان هو كان بيروح للراجل ده عشان يقول له علمني، فهمني الحاجات اللي انا مش فاهمها. And make an effort. ايوه كان بيعمل effort ان هو كان walk miles، مش عارف كام مايل، وكان walk up the hill. فالموضوع ما كانش سهل بالنسبة له. Okay, he was demanding. أكيد he was not demanding when he came to material. طبعا كلمة demanding هي المشكلة فيها هنا. إنه he was not demanding. ما كانش لحوح، ما كانش بيلح، وما كانش easily، ما كانش not satisfied. لا كان بيبقى مبسوط لما يفهم هو عمل إيه. حتى هو ما قالش هو مبسوط ولا مش مبسوط، ولكن he was not demanding. So it's okay. Okay, question 12. Which of the following statement is best supported by the passage? Okay, A. Lincoln faced many obstacles. يعني obstacles like hinders، عوائق، حاجات كانت بتوقفه in his search for knowledge. Okay, Lincoln was a man of many talents. كان عنده talents كتير that ranged across disciplines. خد بالك كلمة disciplines اللي هي ايه disciplines؟ يعني اللي هي fields of study. نسميها fields of study. Fields of study. طبعا discipline ممكن تيجي بمعنى نظام. discipline. I need discipline in the class. طب discipline اللي هو فرع من فروع العلم. disciplines العلوم studies. Okay, Mr. Outfoot remained Lincoln's primary supporter. Jack Armstrong was meant to test Lincoln's physical capacity. I think طبعا يعني من الفيرست يعني reading اللي احنا قريناها من الباسج I think it's ان هو ما كانش فيه many obstacles in his search for knowledge. هي كانت بس مشكلته in his search for knowledge. يعني انا شايف انها too general. هي كانت مشكلته ان هو ما كانش فيه books كتير. ف these are not obstacles كتير، وان هو حتة search for knowledge يعني was not يعني mainly stated in the passage. It was not mainly stated. هي قريبة شوية ولكن it was not mainly stated in the passage. Lincoln was a man of many talents. Yes. لما قال ان هو كان كان في البوليتكس شغال، في الجرامر شغال، حتى في الاثليتكس شغال. ف it could be B. طيب Mr. Outfoot remained Lincoln's primary supporter. It was not mentioned. ما اتقالش هنا هو supporter ليه و remained، ما اتقالش. طيب Jack Armstrong was meant to test Lincoln's physical capacity. I think that's not an evidence for anything. So it's B. طيب The chief theme of the passage. طبعا ده general، كل دي general questions لغاية دلوقتي. The chief theme. ايه الثيم؟ ايه الفكرة الرئيسية بتاعت الباسج؟ اوكي طبعا عايزين حاجة general. اوكي discrediting Lincoln's. طبعا دي so negative. كلمة discredit like to refuse to believe أو dishonor past experience بتاعته. No طبعا it's not discrediting. He's not dishonoring anything. Delineate. خد بالك كلمة delineate يعني describe. احفظ بقى الفوكاب الجديد. اوكي لينكلين's struggles يعني كل الباسج دي هو قال some of the struggles اللي هي ما كانش عنده بوك مش عارف ايه وكان بيمشي بس the whole passage ولا دي كانت حاجه specific something specific موجود في الباسج دي something specific هو ما جابش مش كل الباسج على الستراجلز بتاعته. اوكي documenting Lincoln's growth yes it's a yes so definitely passage كلها كانت على الجراث ازاي هو كان بدايته من عند مش عارف مين في الستور وبعدين قصته مع أرمسترونج والتانية how he read the books ف it's all about his growth. طيب observing Lincoln's interaction with other people I think there was no interaction with people ما قلناش how did he deal with people ازاي كان بيتعامل مع الناس. okay so it's C. okay 14 The author inserts the quote in lines 53 to 92 when referring to Mr. Offutt primarily to طبعا هنا برضو ايه يعني دي في هنا مش مظبوط الكلام ده هو عادها تاني فهي لغاية to يعني ايه البيربس لما نلاقي sentence في to ايه البيربس ايه الغرض ايه البيربس من هو he inserted the quote in line 53 92. اوكي طب تعالى كده نشوف الانسرز. Provide an in context example of Lincoln's confrontation with Jack Armstrong to support the text. يعني هو عايز يعمل support للتكست فاداني الاكزامبل ده الاكزامبل اللي هو ايه اللي هو الكونفرونتيشن المواجهه اللي ما بين لينكولن وجاك. emphasize بالك من الفيرب هنا provide emphasize an abstract concept خد بالك كلمه abstract يعني something you can touch حاجه بتقدرش تمسكها زي مثلا ايه يعني something not physical زي مثلا فكره اللوف الهيتريد justice all these are abstract ideas or concept like ideas أفكار غير ملموسة. Okay, in relation to Lincoln's character, express the importance of Jack Armstrong's in Lincoln's life, outline the main idea of the passage. يعني هنا في main idea of the passage, right? تعال نشوف كده البارت اللي هو 53 يعني مش هنقرا كله اللي احنا already read it يعني هو بدايته قال ايه من 53. اوكي لما قال هنا ان Mr. Offutt من 51 So Mr. Offutt, who had strong regard for him, according to blah blah blah, often declared that his clerk or salesman knew more than any man in the United States and that he could outrun, whip or throw any man in the country. ده declaration إعلانه ده هنا ده أقوى واحد في المكان. طيب وبعدين بعد كده خد بالك بقى عمل إيه؟ دي الستوري يا أولاد بتاعت أرمسترونج. طب هو ليه جاب الستوري بتاعت أرمسترونج؟ عشان يبقى evidence إن فعلا الراجل ده he could whip, outrun or throw any man. فاداك الاكزامبل بقى بتاع مين؟ بتاع الارمسترونج الخناقه اللي بينهم ان هو he defeated him at the end ان هو فعلا he is someone who's out to turn or whip or throw. حاول دايما وانت بتقرا تسال نفسك why is he writing this؟ هو كاتب ده ليه؟ مش مجرد هو كاتب ايه لا why؟ هو ليه كاتب الكلام ده كله؟ اوكي ف definitely طبعا هي باينه جدا ان هنا so we can say in provide an in context of the confrontation هي ما هنا ما فيش غير الكونفرونتيشن ما بين لينكولن ومين وارمسترونج عشان to support the text عشان اعمل support للستيتمنت اللي قالها مين مستر Offutt ان he is the strongest he could whip outrun and throw any man فبتديني الاكزامبل من خلال مين بقى confrontation ما بين لينكولن ومين و ارمسترونج. اوكي لاين question 15 معلش انا يعني ممكن هنغير فيه شويه لان I think there's يعني some troubles في يعني تركيبه الكويستشن مش مظبوطه شويه ولا هو ولا الايفيدنس بتاعه 15 و 16 يعني فاحنا ممكن برضو نستفيد منه. هو preceding خلينا نقول preceding 85 Jack Armstrong character would best be described. ازاي نوصف شخصيه جاك قبل 85؟ جاك طبعا كان بولي فاحنا هنقول following يعني بدل هنا كده هنخليها following يعني بعد لاين 85 ممكن نوصف شخصيه جاك ارمسترونج ازاي. تعال نشوف كده طبعا الايفيدنس برضو كان فيه مشكله في الايفيدنس. اوكي فهنحله برضو. اوكي hypocritical and cynical hypocritical like منافق يعني. اوكي equitable and accepting هو كان accepting و equitable like fair resigned and calm he's resigned someone who submit to other يعني حد بيسبمت للآخرين بيخضع للآخرين. indifferent يعني ايه indifferent؟ يعني lack of interest، حد كده مش فارق معاه يعني. would you like to study I don't know. would you like to play I don't know. so ده ايه؟ ده حد indifferent يعني lack of interest. اوكي. وسلاي يعني cunning، خبيث. طيب احنا هنعامل الكويستشن ده اكنه من غير evidence، لان يعني الايفيدنس I think ان في مشكله برضه في الايفيدنس. هو كان ايه بقى بعد line 85؟ فاكرين البارت الاخير لما he shook hands with him في الاول؟ هو كان بولي وعمل فاول، وكان عمل فاول واستخدم اساليب مش كويسه. طيب جه في الاخر عمل ايه بقى؟ his coolness and courage made such هنا an impression upon Armstrong that he stepped forward, grasped Lincoln's hand and shook it heartily. يبقى he accepted the defeat، هو تقبل الهزيمة من لينكلنز. يبقى ده he's accepting، هو تقبلها يعني. ف we can say that ان هو كان equitable و accepting. اوكي. والايفيدنس طبعا هناخده مش من هنا خالص، هناخد الايفيدنس من الباسج. اوكي. question 17 in line 14 trouble. معناها ايه بقى trouble؟ اوكي. weakness, unrest, inconvenience like annoyance. اوكي. ازعاج. اوكي. difficulty. طب نروح plug it in، نروح نعمل ايه؟ plug it in ونجربها نشوف هو قال ايه في 17. Okay, 17, I'm sorry, line 14. trouble. Okay, so هي من بدايتها فوق خالص اللي هي Mr. Lean، شيل ال non-essential على طول. says that every time he visited New Salem at this period, Lincoln took him upon a hill and asked him to explain some point in Kirkham that had given him trouble. هو بيقول له اشرح لي بعض الأشياء اللي كانت ايه difficult for him. يبقى ال points gave him trouble، ال points had give him inconvenience. يعني البوينتس اللي في الكتاب هتجيب him inconvenience، هتجيب him weakness، هتجيب him unrest، ولا give him difficulty to understand أو difficult to understand. واضحة جدا. plug it in وحاول تفهمها وتبسطها كده. Okay, 18. According to the quote from line 53 to 92, it can be inferred about Lincoln's own. Inferred يعني guess with evidence about Lincoln's character that A من line 53 92. طبعا question with evidence. Okay, part 1 و part 2. Okay, he was often prone to conflict. Okay, يعني prone, liable to, subject to، هو دايما معرض للمشاكل. He felt the need to prove himself among other men، دايما حاول يثبت نفسه. He exhibited، طبعا exhibited like showed، يعني بيحاول دايما ان هو to showed. A nonchalant، يعني ايه nonchalant؟ يعني برضه indifference او indifferent، يعني lack of interest. and non-confrontation exterior، nonchalant exterior يعني that elicits reverence. reverence يعني ايه reverence؟ يعني احترام، respect. يعني هو مش بيحب confrontation، مش بيحب المواجهات يعني مع الناس. he feared asking out in front of others، مش بيحب يسأل in front of others. I think دي أول حاجة يعني من reading، يعني متقالش خالص حاجة زي دي. طيب تعالى كده نشوف الإيفيدنس عشان يعني نشوف قال ايه من 71. اوكي، فتعالى نعمل حاجة ظريفة كده. اوكي، اوكي نشوف كده الإيفيدنس مع بعض. Okay, so from line 71 أول حاجة قالها في 71. طبعا احنا we read so we don't need إن احنا نقرا من قبل كده. خليك دايما فاكر احنا we read the passage in details، ف we don't need to go back. لو ما عملتش كده، لو ما كنتش قاري الباسج in detail، دايما ارجع شوف هو الدنيا فيها ايه ورا. Okay, so من 91 ل 73 so they met. Okay, so they met and wrestled for some time without decided advantage on either. طبعا nothing هنا، مفيش أي حاجة تبين لنا على شخصية لينكولن. Okay, 76 ل 79. Okay, putting forth his whole strength, he seized the great bully by the neck and holding him at arm's length shook him like a boy. برضه nothing، هو مسكه ورقرق فيه كده like a boy. Nothing. طيب 79 قال ايه؟ The Glary Grove okay were ready to pitch on behalf of their champion. كانوا عايزين يضربوه، يخشوا يضربوا نيابة عن صاحبهم البطل بتاعهم. No, nothing. طيب 94 Okay, Lincoln backed up against Offutt store and calmly awaited for the attack. Okay, but his coolness and courage made such an impression upon Armstrong that stepped forward, grasped Lincoln's hand and shook it. شوف هو بقى ايه يعني لينكولن الاتيتيود بتاع لينكولن خلى الراجل اللي قدامه يعمل ايه اللي هو ارمسترونج الراجل البولي ده احترمه. يبقى his coolness هدوءه والcourage بتاعته شجاعته خلت ايه stepped عملت ايه shook his hand. يبقى this is ايه this is respect. يبقى he was not prone to conflict. مش دايما هو بيدخل في conflict. he felt the need to prove himself ولكن a nonchalant and non-confrontational exterior that elicits reverence. هو كان هادي جدا رغم كل التاني عمل فاول فكان هادي جدا فالتاني بص له احترم ده اللي هي elicits reverence. she shook hand with him. So I think it's easy to spot the answer here which is C. طيب in line 77 seized is closest in meaning to grab. طبعا grab يعني امسك حاجة. Okay, capture like when you capture a thief مثلا. Okay, confiscate like take away يعني انك تاخد حاجة بتصادر حاجة من حد كان حرامي فانت اخدت حاجته confiscated the money فانت صادرتهم take away the money. Okay, abduct like kidnapped. kidnap بيخطف حد. طيب هو قال لي في 77 let's plug it in. He seized the great bully يعني he seized the great عمل ايه he seized هل هو kidnapped the great bully هو خطف ال great bully هل هو خطفه did he abduct him did he confiscate him did he capture him ولا grabbed هو مسكه grab فهي seized هنا جايب معناها الطبيعي وهو grab. okay that's it. okay طبعا احنا يعني هنقسم الامتحان ده على parts فيعني that's enough for today ان شاء الله وناخد بعد كده part 3 و 4 ابقى اكمله لكم باذن الله. طبعا مش عايز افكركم ان انتوا if you find this video beneficial don't forget to يعني subscribe وshare ولايك ولو عندك اي question you can turn on notification عندك اي question please leave a comment. اوكي وانا كنت منزل امتحان جديد انا كنت عامله لل EST هتلاقيه موجود على البيج بتاعت الفيسبوك فممكن تحلوه ان شاء الله نبقى نحله قريب باذن الله. اوكي thank you so much. السلام عليكم.